Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Good morning, and welcome back to another Good Morning Grief Devotion. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr. So happy and excited to have this wonderful opportunity to come to you today to lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural and normal and necessary response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. That grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is how you reveal it on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. That's why we shout good morning, because mourning is a good thing. Mourning is a good thing. Look, as you continue to navigate through your grief journey, I'm rooting for you as you continue to mourn in a meaningful manner. And as you continue to move forward, dealing with this loss, change, and transition that you have been faced to deal with in your life. And so, look, thank you so very much for joining us on today. Excited about our devotion today. Today is day 191. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about I'm aware that obsessions can be a sign of off trail grief. I'm aware that obsessions can be a sign of off trail grief. Let's talk about it, y'all. Sometimes grieving people distract themselves with various obsessions to the point that they ignore their grief. Sometimes grieving people, distract themselves with various obsessions to the point that they ignore their grief. Are you distracting yourself with various obsessions? Are you distracting yourself with various obsessions so that you can ignore your grief? There are so many things that people begin to dive into, that people begin to partake in because they want to ignore their grief. They don't want to explore it, they want to ignore it. And so, in order to ignore it, they become obsessed with various things. A lot of times we talk about coping mechanisms. People try to cope with the pain they feel. They want to feel anything except for the pain of grief. So they ignore it and they dive off into various obsessions. They get into various things. They start to do they become obsessed with shopping. They become obsessed with food. They become obsessed with so many other things because they're trying to ignore their grief, right? Have you become obsessed with anything? Have you, as you continue to navigate through your grief, have you become obsessed with anything because you don't want to face your grief, and so you become fixated on these other things in an attempt to dive into them so that you can ignore the various the grief and the pain that you're feeling and that you're going through, right? Sometimes grieving people distract themselves with various obsessions to the point that they ignore their grief. Overworking is a good example of this. Come on. Overworking. Y'all want to go in early, stay late. You want to do all of this stuff because you're just trying to ignore your grief. So you overwork, right? You put in overtime and extra time because you don't want to come home. You don't want to come home. You don't want to face it. You don't want to come home. You don't want to be forced to look at the room or the place where they used to stay or the whatever the case may be. You're trying to occupy your mind with work, so you stay wrapped up, tied up, and tangled up in work. Shopping. Come on, shopping. And now, because you don't want to face your grief, you shop. So you have amassed a great amount of debt, 15, 20, 30, $45,000 worth of debt because you become obsessed with shopping. Exercising. Uh-oh. But I thought exercising was good. Exercising is great, right? But if you're exercising to the point to where you're trying to ignore your grief and you're just throwing yourself in physical fitness, that's a good thing. There's going to be some benefits, but it's also a bad thing because you are ignoring your grief. I know people like that. I know somebody who did that. Somebody who lost a loved one, so they became obsessed with the gym. They became obsessed with the gym morning and evening. They become obsessed with the gym. They had wonderful results, right? Phenomenal results. They had wonderful, phenomenal results, yet and still they ignored their grief and they didn't want to deal with it, right? So overworking, shopping, over exercising, gambling, video gaming, other addictive behaviors are other examples. Crusading about something related to the loss can be another. You got to understand that oftentimes we become obsessed with other things, all because we're trying to ignore our grief, all because we don't want to explore what has happened and what has taken place. Are there benefits to these other things? Of course. Anything that you jump into, that you obsess and excessively do, right? Well, some of these things, shopping now because you compounding the problem. Exercise, there's going to be some physical benefits. Working hard, you may get some extra money on that paycheck, right? But the bottom line is, this is what I want you to understand. You're ignoring how you feel, and you're not exploring how you feel, and you don't want to reveal how you feel. And this is the thing, it ain't going nowhere. The problem with sweeping things under the rug is that they become problematic piles of postponed problems that you still got to deal with. They become problematic piles of postponed problems that you still have to deal with, right? And you want to put yourself in a position, to where you are able to not ignore it but explore it. Crusading about something related to the loss can be another. Any all consuming passion or behavior that distracts me from authentically embracing and expressing my grief much of the time and for a long period of time is like a sign of off trail grief. I want y'all to hear that again. Any all consuming passion or behavior that distracts me from authentically embracing and expressing my grief much of the time and for a long period of time is likely a sign of off trail grief. Do you have an all consuming passion? Do you have an all consuming passion? Do you have a behavior that's distracting you from authentically expressing how you feel? You may be experiencing off trail grief. If I'm off trail, I'll get some extra help. Seeing a good grief counselor is a way to get back on track. If I'm off trail, I'm going to get some extra help. I want y'all to be able to examine yourself and pinpoint this problem, right? Because ultimately you are just postponing your grief journey. You're postponing your progress. You're postponing your progress, and you don't want to postpone your progress. I say it every day. We don't ignore it, we explore it. You don't want to postpone your progress, right? You want to be able to, you can't fix what you don't face. Here it is, final thought. While I may get off trail in my grief, I can always get back on trail. While I may get off trail in my grief, guess what? I can always get back on trail. My hope and prayer and desire for you is that you will get back on trail. We need you to get back on trail. We want you to get back on trail. We want you to be in a place and space where you can navigate through this thing in a way that is going to be healthy and whole for you. And so get back on trail. Today, my brothers and sisters, is day 191. I'm aware that obsessions can be a sign of off trail grief. Questions and comments, if you got them, holla at your boy. Questions and comments, if you got them, holla at your boy. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so very much for joining us. Y'allthebomb.com. Rooting for y'all as you continue on your grief journey. Questions, comments, anybody? Questions, comments, if you got them. Questions or comments. You want to face it. You want to face it. You don't want to become obsessed with other stuff. So many times we throw ourselves into things just to ignore it. We want to feel anything other than what we're feeling. And so we throw ourselves, we become obsessed with other things instead of exploring the main thing. And we want you to have the opportunity to explore what you need to explore. No questions or comments. All right. Look, I hope and pray y'all have a terrific Tuesday. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. I'm rooting for y'all as you continue to navigate through your grief journey. Have a terrific Tuesday, y'all. Let's go.